Hi, I'm Judith. I'm a Canadian. I'm 80 years old. And I do these videos because the course of my life, I've learned quite a lot about how to create a happy and successful, by my standards, successful life with a lot of techniques. I've got a lot of techniques and tips and ways in which I do that. And I want to share them with people. So, and I've got to say this about this. This good man still exists. It's Saturday morning, and I'm in a sweatshirt instead of my normal, more dressed up things. And my partner gave me this, and it's got a whole bunch of writing on it, and I'll read you what it says so you don't have to think about it. It says, "Good men still exist. I know because I have one. He was born in February. He has anger issues and a serious dislike for stupid people." He doesn't have anger issues. "But he knows more than he says," true. "Thinks more than he speaks," true. "And notices more than you realize," true. "I'm his queen. He is my whole world. I love him forever and always." And then in brackets, "Yes, he bought me this." And that's true. He gave it to me a few days ago for February, and I'm wearing it today. So anyway, good men do still exist, and I'm very happy that I have one. I'll come in closer now, maybe. So today I want to talk about, this is episode 4, and I want to talk about what a technique that I use. I had talked in the last episode about my book of lists and how I use my book to, let me see here. And my book of lists, and I use it for, I've got my big master list of all the things I want to accomplish that I can think of I want to do. I've got my yearly priorities. I've got lists of seasonal tasks. I've got lists of habits I want to establish. Just all kinds of things. And then I break it down: the year, the quarter, the month priorities, and then the weekly to-do lists. And I can show you this week's to-do list. So I've got this week's to-do list here. Some things checked off and other things not. We're almost at the end of the week. A lot of things aren't checked off yet, and some of them aren't even going to get done. But I have one more tool that I do with that. And I said in that thing that's likely overkill for most people. It works for me. I have ADHD, or at least ADD, the ADD part. Don't know about the hyperactivity. And so I have one more book that I use, and that is, so every night I go and I check off the things for the week's list, and every so often I go back and check off the ones for the previous list. So at the end of a month, when I'm writing the next month's priorities, I'll go back and look at the month's priorities and maybe check off some of the ones from the quarter if I got some things done for the quarter, and so on. I'm not very rigorous about that. But eventually I do get back to checking them off on the annual lists and even back in the master lists. But what I also do each night is I make a list of things to do the next day. I do things for the next day. And the daily task list, is a kind of standalone thing. You don't need to do any of the other lists, but a list of things to do each day is really, really helpful, especially if, like me, you tend to forget really easily about things that really need to get done. So I use a book for this. You can use a piece of paper, a scrap of paper, or Post-it notes, or whatever works for you, or an app on your phone or whatever. I use one. I buy these books. They're American, actually, and I buy them through Amazon. So I'm Canadian, and we're sort of boycotting American products right now, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do when I run out. I have a few. I use this one, and I'm not recommending it in particular, but it's the one that works for me. It comes from a small company in the States. And the reason I like it is because it has, let me show you a page. It's very simple. Most planners have like way more on them than I really want to put there. And this has everything I need for the day and more. It's got so it has a place to put my top 3, and that's really important, I think, to put the top 3 things that you have to get done in a day. And then it's got a place for other things on the to-do list. And if I have a special note or something, I'll put it in here, but usually that happens afterwards. So all I do is I circle the day, and I put in the date, circle the day it's going to be. figure out what my top 3 things are. Excuse me. Write down the list of the things that I feel I want to do today. And that I include some habits on that. I'll show you that in a minute. And then that's it. And then at the end of the day, I come back and I tick things off. I look at it throughout the day some days, especially if I think, oh, I don't remember what I was supposed to do today. I'll take it with me as I walk around the house, and I'll look at it periodically. It usually sits on the coffee table in the living room. And so, and then I'll fill out something I'm grateful for. I also keep a gratitude journal, which I'll talk about some other time. I'll talk about the gratitudes. And I will put special notes in here. Sometimes I'll put a big note about if something happened. Oh yeah, I write down my appointments for the next day each night as well. I don't fill out the nutrition section because I'm not usually logging my food. I do at the end of the day check off how much water I've drunk, and I will write in what I did for exercise, just a brief note. So I don't think I've got anything confidential on here for today. Here's my list for today. And this is, as you can see, is February the 7th. It's a Saturday. And so what I have to do is I had to email a couple of friends about a concert we're going to go to. I have to do some reading and printing for a health program I'm in, and I wanted to make this video because I didn't get it done earlier in the week. I usually make them earlier in the week. I also have to visit my partner who is in the hospital. I'll talk about that maybe later. And then I have a section over here where I normally have, I put some habits that I really want to make sure that I do every day. These are habits that are not as well established as some others. One is dental. I'm pretty good with this, but this is more than, I brush my teeth after every meal. That's not an issue, or before I go to bed when I first get up in the morning, just with a regular toothbrush. But dental is using my electric toothbrush, using flossing, and using a water pick and with mouthwash in it, and also some mouthwash. And I do that usually after breakfast in the mornings. My dentist says I should do it at night, but I'm usually too tired or lazy to do it at night. So I don't know what I got there. I'm kind of a mark. Anyway, please ignore it. See the ADD mind? I just get distracted. Okay. Take my blood pressure. I'm having to do that for medical reasons. Take collagen and Metamucil. I do that in the afternoons, usually about the same time I take my blood pressure. And that's for giving me fiber and helping my nails and hair and all that. And fasting exercise. That's 15 minutes of exercise in the morning before I have breakfast. I've done that today, actually, but I haven't checked it off. I've got a couple of jackets to wash. I need to make a dinner reservation. I need to buy blueberries and some bread. And there we go. And visit my partner. And so that's my list for today. And for the most part, it looks like I will likely be able to follow that. So some days, most days, that really works. That kind of a list. It's fairly simple. It takes me a few minutes. Sometimes I forget really vital things on it. Yesterday, my car was running really low on gas, and I completely forgot about buying gas. And I actually had it. I didn't have it on Wednesday, and I had planned to do it on Wednesday. I had a whole plan of what I was going to do, and I was going to get gas, and that didn't happen. And then Thursday, I completely forgot about it for reasons that I will explain later. And then, so yesterday it was like, buy gas, big exclamation mark. And I actually got to the point where the car told me, buy gas. So, but luckily I was at the gas station by the time it told me that. Because sometimes things that are important just slip through the cracks. But most days it keeps me on track, and especially doing the 3 most important things. And so this is just a standalone technique you can use. I also use lists for other things. Grocery list. Sometimes a list of errands. If I've got a lot of things I have to do, I'll just quickly write down, bank, grocery store, pharmacy, and what I have to get at those places. Dry cleaners, whatever the errands are. If I've got more than two or three, I'll write them down because sometimes I'll get home and say, "Oh, I completely forgot to go to the bank," and there I'm left with not enough cash or whatever. Um, this works most days. I think I spoke in another video when I was talking about, I don't know if it was when I was talking about setting up intentions or setting up goals, that for all you plan, for all you can set where you want to go, sometimes life comes along and just knocks you sideways. Well, that can happen on a daily basis too, in a smaller way. May not affect your whole life, but you can have really days that don't go at all as planned. I think there's a saying, life happens while you're making other plans. For me, that's not a reason not to make lists. I'm going to talk sometime about the different approaches to life, including just kind of floating like flotsam and jetsam down the river of life and seeing where life takes you without a plan and without trying to steer to anywhere. That's not a solution way, I think, for me, that I could ever find a happy life. And I've watched other people do it, and I think for the most part, while life can deliver some amazing surprises, they mostly come to people who are preparing, even if they're steering in quite a different direction, and then they get a delightful surprise. But I will say that this week was an example of when life can just throw you for a loop. On Wednesday, I had a whole plan. I was going to, let me see, on Wednesday, I was going to get gas. I was going to go down and buy a phone screen. I was going to buy a couple of new pinky rings because I've lost some weight and this one's getting loose and falling off. Um, and you can see I like my rings. And I was going to, yeah, basically that was it. Plus, I was going to buy some tickets for a concert, the concert I'm going to with my friends. I was going to email a friend, wash some jackets that are getting dirty. I need to do that today. It didn't get done. And I had to send some results of blood pressure things to my doctor. Well, none of that happened. Not one thing. No habits, nothing. Because I was up all night the night before with a stomachache, mild stomachache, 3 out of 10 for pain, maybe not terrible. And I ended up in the morning going down to emergency and and spending a couple of hours in emergency to be told, yeah, it is a stomach ache, and they gave me something to numb the pain and sent me home. And so I spent the rest of the day sleeping because I hadn't slept the night before, and just cosseting myself and sitting around in my house coat and trying to get over the stomach ache. And by the next morning, by Thursday morning, it was gone. And so I had a new plan for the day. I had a plan of the things I was going to do, including writing my friend and washing the jackets and, and so on. And at 11:30, quarter after 11 on Thursday morning, my partner, who was out delivering Meals on Wheels, uh, phoned me and said, I'm in the driveway. I fell. I have to go to Emerge. And out I went. And you can see that I wear my hair up. My hair was down. I had no makeup on. I didn't care. Put my clothes on, ran out the door. I had clothes on, but put my jacket on and stuff, my winter clothes, outside clothes, ran out the door. He drove to Emerge because he was already sitting in the driver's seat and he wasn't in pain. And indeed, he'd broken his hip, and so he had to have surgery. So that whole day went in a flurry of other things that I had to do, phoning to cancel appointments for him, phoning his sister, phoning my kids, notifying people I had to notify, notifying the Meals on Wheels people that he wouldn't be around for many weeks doing what he has to do, what he does. I got nothing done that was on my list of things to do. And that's just how life goes sometimes. And now my life actually and his life are somewhat changed for at least the next few months, because he'll be in hospital and then in rehab and then home, and he can't drive for 6 weeks, and he has got to really be careful about how he moves for the next 3 months. He'll have limited mobility, and that means a lot more will fall on me to do. So life can change in an instant, and that means new plans and may involve some putting some things on hold. I hope it doesn't impact these videos. Anyway, to get back to the point, uh, uh, keeping lists is a really way to keep your life orderly. Um, yeah, grocery lists. We keep a list on the a magnetic list on the side of the stove, fridge, on the side of the fridge, and it and we just mark down things that we need and from what kind of store or errands we need to do as we come across them. Um, Today I've got to buy some bread and some blueberries, and those are on the list. And then we take that list and go off and get those things, and we try to get them as soon as possible. So when the last we buy toilet paper in big bulk things from Costco, and when the last 6 rolls go into the cupboard in the bathroom, then we put it on the list, and we go and get more toilet paper, even though it will likely be 2 or 3 weeks before we run out of toilet paper. And so usually we don't run out of things. It's very unusual for us to get to run out of plastic bags, let's say, and say, oh my gosh, we don't have any, or to run out of paper towels and say, oh, we don't have any in the house, or wax paper, or whatever it is that we use. And those kinds of systems can really help keep your life in order. I want to talk a lot more about keeping life in order because it's a really important part of how I keep life happy. Because when you don't have, when you're not always scrambling to catch up with stuff that should have been done before, when you've kept things in order, A, you prevent messes from happening, and B, you you're not caught by surprise with things. You just are caught by surprise by the things that happen, like your partner falling and breaking his hip, or like you having a stomach ache and having to go to emergency. Um, so that's basically it. It's a really great standalone tool. I'd urge you to use list keeping in whatever form you can. I personally like pen and paper. As you can tell, I'm not great with doing things, keeping lists on my phone, because I don't see them as easily. I have to go press some buttons to look them up. But that may differ for you. And other people I know use Post-it notes and take the Post-it notes with them or move them around. Have all the Post-it notes of things they're going to do this week, and then pick off the Post-it notes they need for the day. And if that works for you, that's great too. At any rate, until the next time, try to keep your life in order. Try to think about what will make you happy. And this is the list thing is kind of a building your life from the bottom up. I would say from the bottom up. You don't have to have big goals or anything. You don't have to think about the major intentions that you want for the year, or the overall 7 touchstones of your life. I've talked about those in other videos, ways in which you can formulate a path for where you want to go. You don't have to think about any of that. You can just think, what do I have to get done today to keep things going? And often cooking dinner is on my list of things that I have to do. Cooking is not my fun thing. So until the next time, do your best and keep moving forward, and appreciate what you've got. Take care.